I don't remember falling asleep. 1 second, I was in the back of a cab on the way home from work, my forehead pressed against the window. The next, I was sitting in an airport terminal I didn't recognize. The place was empty, completely deserted. The hum of fluorescent lights echoed above me, and the massive glass windows showed only fog pressing against the glass. No planes, no night sky. Not even a hint of sunlight, just fog. I got up and looked around. Rows of empty seats stretched on forever. Blue-gray upholstery and metal arms repeating endlessly. The gate signs above me flickered, letters jumbling into nonsense before stabilizing into strings of numbers I didn't recognize. Attention passengers, final boarding will commence. The announcement system crackled to life. But the voice wasn't right. It dragged each word out, distorted like a tape being chewed up. I couldn't even make out the flight number it was calling. I walked to the first gate. The doors were locked. I tried another, then another. All locked. When I turned around, the concourse behind me looked the same as the one in front of me. No matter which way I walked, I passed the same duty-free store, the same coffee kiosk, the same seats. That's when I realized I wasn't in any normal airport. At first, I thought maybe I was dreaming, but everything felt too real. The air was stale, carrying the faint chemical smell of overworked air conditioners. My footsteps echoed sharply against the polished floor. My throat was dry. I kept walking. Eventually, I heard something mechanical, a low whirring. I followed it and came to the baggage claim area. The carousels were running, conveyor belts moving in slow, endless loops, but there were no bags. Just the belts moving, squeaking, circling with nothing on them. I turned to leave, but froze. A bag dropped from the chute. Not a suitcase, not a duffel. A body bag. It slid down onto the belt with a dull thud, then circled past me, vanishing into the other side of the carousel. Another dropped. Then another. Soon the carousel was filled with black body bags, rotating endlessly. I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. That's when the PA system clicked on again. Final boarding call. Passenger. And then my name. My knees went weak. I shouldn't have been able to hear that here. How did it know my name? I stumbled back into the concourse. The signs above the gates flickered faster now. Numbers cycling into letters. Letters into symbols I didn't recognize. Every direction I walked, I ended up back where I started. Same newsstand. Same locked gates. I sat down, trying to steady my breathing. That's when I saw it. Across the concourse, behind the glass of gate 13, stood a figure. It was human shaped, but its proportions were wrong. Too long in the arms, too thin in the neck. Its face was obscured by glare from the glass, but I could tell it was watching me. It raised one arm slowly and pointed at me. I ran. I don't know how long. The airport seemed endless, corridors looping, gates repeating. My lungs burned, my legs felt like lead. Every time I glanced back, I saw it. Sometimes closer, sometimes standing still, always pointing. At some point, I ended up in the food court. Tables and chairs sat in perfect rows, trays of untouched food resting on counters as though abandoned mid-bite. Fries still steaming. Burgers still fresh. Not rotten. Not old. Just waiting. I don't know why, but it made my skin crawl worse than the body bags. Attention. Final boarding, passenger. The announcement again. My name, clearer this time, urgent. I looked up at the departure boards. Among the scrambled letters and nonsense symbols, one line flickered into place. Flight 000, final boarding, gate unknown. And then it changed again. I kept moving. The lights above me buzzed louder, flickering in and out, casting everything in short bursts of shadow. Somewhere ahead, I heard footsteps. For a moment, I thought maybe there was someone else here. Another passenger. Someone who could explain this. I followed, calling out. But the footsteps never matched mine. They always stayed just ahead, echoing, luring me deeper. Then, I reached another baggage carousel. This time, it wasn't body bags. It was me. Dozens of me. My own body dropping from the chute, pale, lifeless, eyes wide open, sliding onto the belt. Another followed, then another. Some looked freshly dead, others decayed, some skeletal. All of them wearing my clothes. All of them me. I backed away, trembling when I heard it. A whisper, right behind my ear. Boarding! I spun around. The figure stood inches from me now. No glass separating us. Its face was wrong, like mine, but stretched, twisted, the mouth too wide. Its eyes were pale and lidless. I tried to scream, but it placed a long, bony finger against my lips. Shh, your flight is waiting. Then it vanished. I don't remember collapsing, but when I came to, I was in a different part of the airport. My childhood bedroom, but reconstructed under the harsh fluorescent lights of the terminal. My posters on the walls, my old desk, my bed. And sitting on the bed was a ticket. Flight 000. On the back of it, in jagged handwriting. The only way out is through. I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't want to board anything. But the PA system was blaring now. The distorted voice screaming my name over and over, drowning out every thought. So I picked up the ticket. The second I did, the concourse shifted around me. Gate 13 was open now, light pouring from within. I could hear the roar of engines, though I never saw a plane outside. Just fog. Endless fog. I walked toward it. Against everything in me, I stepped inside. I don't remember the flight. I don't remember sitting down. I only remember waking up, back in the cab. My forehead against the window, the city lights sliding past. The driver glanced at me and said, "Rough night, huh?" As if nothing had happened. But when I got home, I saw something on my nightstand. A ticket. Flight 000, final boarding. And underneath it in the same jagged handwriting. Next time, you won't wake up. When the fire alarm went off in the middle of the night, I thought it was just another drill. Our dorm had at least 3 every semester, usually because some drunk kid burned popcorn or set off the sprinklers with a vape cloud. Half asleep, I shuffled into the hall with the rest of the floor, pulling on a hoodie over my t-shirt. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, that faint electrical hum they always had. The air smelled like stale carpet and disinfectant. I followed the crowd down the corridor toward the exit signs. At least, I thought I did. When we reached the stairwell, I realized I had forgotten my wallet. I grumbled to myself, turned around and headed back. I figured I'd just slip into my room, grab it, and catch up outside. Only, the hall didn't look right. The exit sign was gone. The crowd of students had vanished. I was staring down a corridor that stretched longer than I remembered, lined with identical white doors, each numbered, but repeating. Room 214, 214, 214. Again and again. I rubbed my eyes. Maybe I was still half asleep. Maybe I'd turned down the wrong hall. But when I walked forward, the corridor didn't seem to end. The further I went, the longer it stretched. The buzzing lights grew louder, a sharp, mosquito-like whine that drilled into my skull. I turned around. The way back was just as long. Panic set in. I tried one of the doors. Locked. I tried another. Locked. Finally, on the third, the knob turned. Inside was my dorm room. My posters on the wall, my laptop glowing faintly on the desk, my bed unmade, but sitting on the bed was me. I froze. The other me looked up, blinking groggily as though I had just woken him. His expression mirrored mine. Confusion, then fear. "What the hell?" we both whispered at the same time. I slammed the door shut, heart hammering in my chest. My breath came in short gasps. I stumbled back down the corridor, my mind racing. This had to be a nightmare. It had to be. That's when I noticed it. The walls. They weren't solid anymore. They moved. The plaster pulsed faintly, as though something massive was breathing beneath the surface. With every flicker of the lights, the walls seemed closer, tighter, veins bulging beneath the paint. The buzzing grew deeper, almost like a heartbeat now. I tried another door. Inside, the same room, my room. But this version of me was sitting at the desk, typing furiously, headphones on. He didn't even notice me. I shut it again, tried another. This time, I was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to my chest, rocking back and forth, whispering, "Don't open the door. Don't open the door. Don't open the door." I backed away, clutching my head. Every door was me. Versions of me. One screamed at me the second I opened it, blood pouring from his eyes. Another was hanging from the ceiling fan. Another was asleep, twitching, mumbling in some language I didn't recognize. The buzzing lights overhead flickered violently, casting long shadows that twisted across the walls. And then I heard it. A voice behind the walls. "Stay! Stay! Stay!" I ran. My shoes slapped against the carpet, echoing endlessly. I didn't care where I was going. Anywhere away from the doors, the voices, the breathing walls. But the corridor didn't end. It stretched on, twisting in impossible loops. I passed the same vending machine 3 times, the same bulletin board with flyers peeling off it. Finally, I stopped, chest heaving, legs trembling. That's when I noticed the air. It was hot, too hot. My skin felt clammy. The walls weren't just breathing, they were sweating. Droplets of moisture rolled down the paint, dripping onto the carpet in steady plops. And with each breath, the hall grew narrower, closing in. I tried one last door. This time, the room wasn't mine. The walls were bare concrete. The floor was covered in water, ankle deep, rippling as though something stirred beneath. And across the room, hunched in the shadows, was a figure. It looked like me, but stretched, skin sagging, mouth torn too wide. Its eyes locked onto mine, glowing faintly in the dark. Then it stood. Taller than me. Taller than any person should be. And it started walking toward me. I slammed the door shut and sprinted down the hall. My lungs burned, tears streaming from my eyes. The buzzing overhead turned into a roar, a chorus of distorted alarms, screams layered beneath the static. The walls bulged outward, then inward, as if something inside was pushing to get out. Doors rattled, fists pounding from the other side. My own voice screaming at me, begging, laughing, crying. I tripped and fell hard against the carpet. My nose gushed blood. I staggered up, dizzy, when the PA system crackled to life above me. "This is a fire drill. Please evacuate immediately." But the voice wasn't human. It was my own voice, distorted, layered over itself 100 times. The corridor ahead split into two, both stretched endlessly, both buzzing, both breathing. I didn't know which way to go. My body shook, my mind fracturing. I stumbled forward, choosing one at random. That's when the lights went out. Pitch black. Only the sound of the walls inhaling, exhaling. And from the darkness, the whisper again, so close it was right against my ear. You opened the door. Now you can't leave. I woke up in my bed, drenched in sweat. Morning sunlight streamed through the blinds. My phone buzzed with messages from friends complaining about last night's fire drill. I almost convinced myself it had been a nightmare. Almost. Until I got up to grab some water and noticed the door across the hall. It was my door, my room number. But I was already inside, and I could hear myself moving around in there. When the mall finally shut down, people thought it was the end of an era. The news said low sales killed it. But locals whispered darker reasons. Employees vanishing after closing, security guards walking out in the middle of their shifts, customers who never made it to their cars. None of that stopped us from sneaking in one night. It was me, my buddy Ryan, his girlfriend Mia, and our friend Jordan. Summer boredom had us restless, and Ryan, the dumbest but boldest of us, suggested we check out the place before demolition crews got their hands on it. "We'll bring a speaker, get drunk, film some creepy TikToks," he said. "It'll be fun." I didn't think so, but I went anyway. The mall was a hulking silhouette against the night sky, its vast parking lot empty and cracked with weeds. We found a side door already pried open, graffiti scrawled across the walls. Inside, it smelled of mildew and dust. The air was still, heavy. Our flashlights cut across vacant storefronts, peeling paint, and escalators frozen mid-climb. The silence was suffocating. We laughed nervously, our voices echoing. Ryan blasted music on his phone to kill the eerie quiet. It felt more like trespassing in a tomb than a shopping center. Hours slipped by. We wandered, joked, took pictures. But as the clock ticked closer to 3 a.m., the air changed. I felt it first, like the mall itself was holding its breath. At 3:33 a.m., it happened. Every storefront lit up at once. Neon signs flickered to life. Food court lights blazed overhead. The hum of electricity coursed through the walls like the place had never shut down. We all froze. "Holy shit," Jordan whispered. Is this generators kicking on?" But no, it wasn't mechanical. It felt alive. Music began playing faintly over the intercom, cheerful mall jingles from decades ago. The escalators jolted, grinding and clattering, but they weren't going up anymore. They ran backward, pulling against us, dragging toward the lower levels. Then Mia screamed. A mannequin was standing in the middle of the hallway. It hadn't been there before. Dressed in an old faded summer outfit, its plastic head turned toward us, faceless but somehow staring. Another one appeared at the end of the food court, hands raised as if waving, and then another. Soon, mannequins lined every walkway, positioned like shoppers frozen mid-stride. But they weren't frozen. I swear I saw one tilt its head. Another's arm twitched. Ryan tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked. "Okay, someone's screwing with us. This is a prank, right? Cameras? Actors?" The intercom crackled above us. "Ryan, Jordan, Mia, Tyler." All of our names, drawn out in distorted static. "Attention shoppers, you've been selected." We bolted. Running down the concourse, past glowing storefronts that seemed to shift when we weren't looking. A shoe store that was boarded up seconds ago suddenly had sneakers displayed in its windows. A clothing outlet played 90s pop music, its racks full again. I tried for the exit doors, slammed into them. They didn't budge, not locked, not jammed. They simply wouldn't open. Mia pounded on the glass, screaming for help. But the parking lot outside wasn't there anymore. Instead, it stretched into an infinite black void. Behind us, the mannequins began to follow. Their footsteps echoed, rubbery and wrong. We sprinted up the escalators, ignoring how the steps fought against us, dragging us back down. My lungs burned as I climbed, heart hammering in my chest. At the top, we stumbled into what used to be a department store. Only now, it wasn't empty. Shelves stocked with toys, clothes, kitchen appliances. Brand new, pristine. Fluorescent lights beamed overhead. It looked alive again, like stepping back in time. And at the center of the store was a giant carousel, one that had never been in this mall before. Its horses were mannequins, torsos nailed to poles, arms reaching outward as the ride spun slowly, creaking. On the speaker, a voice sang in monotone. "Merchandise available. Merchandise available," Jordan snapped. He grabbed a display chair and smashed it against the glass doors leading outside. But the glass didn't crack, didn't even scratch. Instead, his reflection in the glass turned and looked at him, smiling. Then it stepped forward. We pulled him back just as the reflection pressed its hands against the glass, grinning wide. Its mouth moved, but no sound came out. Jordan sobbed, dropping the chair. Ryan muttered, "We're not supposed to leave." I didn't want to believe him, but the mall itself seemed to agree. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied again. We were being displayed. The mannequins closed in. One blocked the aisle. Another stood at the edge of the carousel, twitching with every spin. We huddled together, breathing hard. The intercom came back, calm and cold. "Attention shoppers, 4 new arrivals, limited stock, displaying now." The shelves around us began to shift. Signs changed. Sale, new, clearance. Clothing racks twisted, forming cages of fabric. The walls stretched upward, no longer a store, but a warehouse. Endless shelves, stacked with boxes labeled with our names. I swear I saw my own name stamped in bold red letters on a cardboard box at the far end. Ryan grabbed my arm. "Don't let them box us. We're next." We ran again, through aisles that rearranged themselves, trapping us in loops. Every time I turned a corner, I ended up back at the carousel. Mia fell behind. I looked back just in time to see mannequins grab her arms, dragging her toward a glowing display window. She screamed, thrashing, but her body stiffened, her skin paling, hardening, until she froze mid-gesture, her face expressionless. A mannequin now. Her reflection stared at me from the glass, mouth open, in a silent scream. We couldn't save her. We couldn't save anyone. It was just me and Ryan at the end. Jordan had vanished down a corridor and never came out. We stumbled into the food court again. Tables were full this time, but not with people. Just mannequins, posed as if eating. Plastic forks and knives clutched in stiff fingers. Their heads turned as we entered. Ryan broke down, dropping to his knees. "It doesn't matter. We're already theirs." I wanted to scream at him, drag him, do something. But before I could, the intercom roared one final announcement. "Closing time. All customers, please remain where you are. You belong to us now." The lights flickered, then went out. I woke up later in silence. The mall was dark again, abandoned, as though nothing had happened. No mannequins, no lights, no intercom, just rotting walls and stale air. Ryan was gone. I staggered to the exit. This time the doors opened. Morning light streamed in. I thought I was free, until I caught my reflection in the glass. It blinked a second too late, and smiled.